Here we go then in Iame Bambino. In terms of our points, our drivers go into this final with less than 5 between James Roots and Chester Fawkes. Fawkes leading by 5 points, and he goes off the front row alongside James Roots. The two championship protagonists somewhat fittingly go off the front row with Albert Farah and Chloe McGill alongside. Harris Barber and William Crombie go off row number 3 with Darren Dimitrov and Freddie Baker in front of Ollie Liddell and Bode Batch on row number 5. Charlie Holmes and Max Mikalski on row number 6. Row 7, our final runner is Freddie Purnell in 13th place on row number 7. So it is now down to a 2-horse race. Albert Farah went into this weekend with an opportunity of winning the championship. But it's Chester Fawkes and James Roots now, the final 2 runners in this championship battle, and they will go off with each other on the front row. Field making their way round. There is James Roots in the UK plate. He needs to really win this one. Chester Fawkes needs second. If it goes to third, they will be level on points, and it will go down then to a to the rule book, and we'll leave them to figure that one out afterwards. But at the moment, it's going to be James Roots and Chester Fawkes going off the front row in this Iame Bambino final. Still got championships to decide as well in Honda Cadet. Max Taddy and Ryan White go for the championship in that one. We've got a Micromax championship to decide as well between James Fabricius and Leo Living. So we've got driver off on the outside. That looks like it could be the 12 of Harris Barber. And then we'll end our day with a mouth-watering championship battle between Ralph Martin, Alfie Garrett and Ansel Murray. All 3 of them going into the final race of the season, split by less than 10 points. The timer on the overhead gantry will have found an extra digit. We go up from 9 minutes to 12 there. You can see to the left-hand side of your screen for our finals. 12 minutes for James Roots and Chester Fawkes to end the 2023 season as champion in Iame Bambino. Green at the back of the field. 7 finals, the first of which is underway. Lights are out, and it's a good start from both of the 2 championship rivals off the front row. Chloe McGill once again getting away well, and Chester Fawkes is through and into the lead. Fawkes leads the field then on the run up towards Christmas Corner in front of James Roots, Chloe McGill, but Harris Barber and the 42 of Albert Farah coming through down the inside, and we've got a spin towards the tail end of the field. That's Freddie Purnell in the 7. Just tags into the rear, and he goes round at the top of the hill at Christmas Corner. Chester Fawkes, though, leads at the moment from James Roots. That will give him the championship by 8 points if it stands. Roots must finish in front of Chester Fawkes, and he needs people between him and Chester Fawkes. And at the moment, Fawkes is doing what he needs to do. Disappear at the front and open up a gap to the rest of the field as Crombie and Dimitrov find the way past Chloe McGill. McGill once again fast starting, but unable to hold on to her start place as she made her way through. Out onto the rumble strip for the O plate of Chester Fawkes. Around the top end bend up at Christmas Corner they go. Then they'll run down the hill towards Ashby. The top 2 already starting to break away. Harris Barber, Albert Farah just behind as well. Darren Dimitrov trying to stick with. We'll keep you up to date on this championship throughout this race, but at the moment Chester Fawkes is doing what Chester Fawkes needs to do, and that's keep going at the front, not look back at James Roots. Roots has got to go with him, but Roots has got to drag other people along into the mix because he needs people in between as Ollie Liddell finds a way past Chloe McGill. Fawkes with the fastest lap of the race opens the gap up to 0.4 of a second. This is a good move, run down the inside there. That's Darren Dimitrov getting the straight line speed on Harris Barber, and he's through. Going out onto the rumble strip on the outside, managing to keep the speed though as William Crombie tries to tuck in and go. Ollie Little, Chloe McGill. Then it's Freddie Baker and Bode Batch down the hill. That's the top 10, and they're all split with 5 seconds between them. At the front though, Chester Fawkes dominating at the front at the moment, still trying to open up that gap because he knows James Roots isn't going to let him have it easy. And there you can see the gap's closed up as they entered the boot. Chester Fawkes had opened up a massive gap. It was 0.4 previously, but it was out to nearly 8 in the middle of that lap. And through one complex of corners, James Roots has closed right up on Chester Fawkes, and Albert Farrer with the fastest lap of the race in 3rd place is now within a second, and with Darren Dimitrov in 4th place, he's starting to break away a little bit from Harris Barber. Let's see what his pace has been, because he's been stuck behind people for most of this race weekend as Darren Dimitrov, and now he's got some free air. We'll see what he can do. See whether Roots can close in on Fawkes once again into the boot. This is where I think Fawkes is not quite as strong as James Roots. I think Roots has got a little bit into the boot, and that's where he closes up once again. Another few kart lengths for James Roots as they go through the boot. Split by 0.2 previously. It's a similar time this time. Albert Farrer drops a little bit further off, as does Darren Dimitrov. Nervous faces watching along there on the side. This final 8 minutes to go. 1/3 already consigned to the history books. Chester Fawkes, the O plate. James Roots in the UK plate. The top 2 so far. The field running out wide onto that rumble strip on the exit of Ashby. Dimitrov not able to break away, and now William Crombie's found a way past Harris Barber. Ollie Little as well, and Chloe McGill falling backwards into what will now be a lonely 8th place. Harris Barber trying to cut to the inside. He's a little bit tighter and closing up slightly on William Crombie in the green. Closing up as well is James Roots. Over start finish. The gap back down to 0.2 of a second. Roots taking 1.5 out on the previous lap, and now all over the back of Chester Fawkes as they head up the hill towards Christmas Corner. Albert Farrer there as well. Darren Dimitrov has been unable to break away from Crombie, Barber and Liddell. And now they are nose to tail for the lead here. Not even at half race distance yet, and James Roots has closed back in on Chester Fawkes. Fawkes gets a good exit though out of Oziers. So we cut back to Darren Dimitrov and William Crombie. Crombie bouncing up and over the curbs. Once again, Harris Barber a lot tighter than Ollie Little, and those in front using that is actually closing up quite a bit there. Let's see whether this time James Roots can get the good run. Albert Farrer once again, and James Roots does get a good run onto the back of Chester Fawkes. And James Roots late in coming out the slipstream at the end, thought he might have had a look down the inside there on Chester Fawkes. Down the hill towards Ashby. Now we've ticked past the halfway mark. We'll still have that additional lap at the end as well. Lapping in the 55, so we're going to get 14 laps in here, I think, in our Iame Bambino class. That'll be up nearer 20 by the time we get towards our senior and mini-max classes later on. Albert Farrer is right in the mix once again now. He's on the back. The gap was down to 0.6 of a second on the previous lap. It's under half now. And James Roots needs Albert Farrer to go with him, because he needs Albert Farrer between him and Chester Fawkes, and then it'll go down, like I say, to the rule book, and through they go down the inside. It's Roots, Farrer, and now Chester Fawkes, and as it stands, we are level on points in the championship. Get your rule book out. Through we come back. No, put it away. Put the rule book away because we're back into a championship winning position now for Chester Fawkes. Fawkes is back through into second place. Albert Farah then will lead them through this time. Fawkes into second. Roots down into third. Roots needs to win this race and have Chester Fawkes no higher than third for it to go down to the tiebreaker. I believe it will be down to final victories first, then heat victories after that. Chester Fawkes in second place, 4.5 on the clock, on the back of Albert Farah. Farah tighter line through Oblivion and then through the crook. Looks over his shoulder, sees it's Chester Fawkes behind, parks the kart in the middle of the track. Fawkes not wanting to move out. He knows now that second place will be enough as it stands to take the championship by 7 points. Even if he drops into third with James Roots moving up into second, he'll still have it by 3. Albert Farah, the thorn in the side at the moment of James Roots, but he still needs him. Needs him to be in between him and Chester Fawkes. Darren Dimitrov and William Crombie, 4th and 5th. Opened up a gap now to Ollie Liddell and Harris Barber. Liddell's found a way through on Harris Barber. Barber's going to come back down the inside into Pit Bend. Harris Barber's through, and we could have another change for lead here because we're chopping and changing. Farah with a tighter line. That'll give Chester Fawkes more of a run up the hill. Fawkes with a look over the shoulder, but Fawkes content at the moment to push Albert Farah. James Roots very racy, goes very wide onto the outside, onto the concrete rumble strip. 3 minutes to go in this Iame Bambino final. So they bounce up and over the curbs as they exit Osiers, run down towards the boot, still as you were with Albert Farah and Chester Fawkes. Through the right-hander of Pit Bend. Still 2.5 minutes remaining, plenty of time here. I think we can get nearly 4 laps in our Iame Bambino final. Farah leads from Chester Fawkes as they come back into shot, as they go round Fine Lady and up Manuel's Bank towards Christmas Corner. And the gap is starting to open up to James Roots. Chester Fawkes content to push, knows that second place is going to be enough to send the championship back with him. Up and over the curb as they go. Through the right into the boot, left, still 1:50 to go on the clock. And now James Roots is down the inside here of Chester Fawkes. Not enough though that Fawkes has to ease off. Roots just got the run, but Fawkes had enough to go all the way around the outside. Albert Farah holds on to the lead then in the 42. He's looking left and right over his shoulder, but I think Chester Fawkes is just going to be content once again to push along. The two of them going quick enough, as long as he's not holding him up. James Roots though is right back in the wheel tracks once again, and there's some lap traffic in front of them for them to contend with, I think, as they're catching the 7 of Freddie Purnell in front of them. Albert Farah leads from Chester Fawkes and James Roots. They'll catch the lap traffic towards the end of this lap and potentially on that run up towards Christmas Corner. They'll get round well in enough time for it not to see the last lap board, but the one after that definitely will be. Through the right-hander of Pit Bend, 45 seconds on the clock. Lap traffic in front being shown the blue flashing light. They'll see the flag as well as they come up. Chester Fawkes taking that slightly wider line. That's going to give him a better run, and he does indeed once again slot into the slipstream of the 42 of Albert Farah. Farah defending this victory because he still wants to win. Chester Fawkes, he doesn't care, he just wants to push on. Lap traffic in front for them to contend with as they head down the hill towards Ashby's. Will they meet on exit? Yes, they will meet on exit. Farah's going to have to go round the outside. Fawkes is on the inside. They go round between the two of them. They all come out in pretty much the same distance between them as they went round. We've got driver off on the outside. That looks like it's a 63 of Charlie Holmes off onto the grass. Last lap board awaits our Iame Bambino runners. Holmes just getting pushed back onto track now after the traffic's gone through. Last lap on the overhead gantry, 56 seconds away from the first championship of the day being decided. Farah leading from Chester Forks, and James Roots is going to try and run all the way up and round the outside, with Chester Forks pushing Albert Farah up down the straight, slipstreaming, trying to work as well as he can to hold on to this second place. Doesn't want to let James Roots through. Farah, though, defending this one because he wants to take the overall victory. Chester Forks just pushing along. Half a lap to go. The 42 leading the O plate with James Roots' UK plate just behind. Chester Forks trying to find a way through but not hold himself up. He's happy with second. Roots needed the win here. Roots, I don't think, is going to get it unless he can pull off a superb final few complex of corners. Can't get close enough. Farah's going to be there. Roots is going to get to the inside of Chester Forks. Side by side as they come through. Rubbing between the two of them. More contact. Farah takes victory. Roots is second. But third place will give Chester Forks the 2023 Iame Bambino Championship by the slenderest of fractions. 3 points split Chester Forks and James Roots in this championship battle. It's 600 points to Forks, 597 by my calculations to James Roots, and Chester Forks with third place is the 2023 BKC Iame Bambino champion. Commiserations to James Roots. He's put in a valiant effort, took the championship right down to the wire with some superb driving all throughout the season. But Chester Forks comes through. You could see how happy he was, even with the third place there. He knew as long as he was close enough to James Roots, ran him hard at the line to try and hold on to second, credited with third at the end. But James Roots unable to get through and loses out, unfortunately, by 3 points to Chester Forks. Results on screen then for the race we've just seen. Albert Farah taking victory with James Roots in second place. Chester Forks third and enough for the championship in front of Darren Dimitrov and William Crombie, with Ollie Liddell and Harris Barber, Freddie Baker and Chloe McGill, Bodie Batch, Max Mikalski, Freddie Purnell and Charlie Holmes rounding out your 13 kart grid here in our Iame Bambino final.